All right, today's Saturday, August 23rd, 2025. And so, for you, my grandchildren, I have to make this here documentation for my journal of my journey. And that is one thing I just wanted to say was, it's all right to push to get ahead. And I learned this just a moment ago from my dog, Mr. T. All right, because Mr. T is big boy, not as big as Charlie Maximus, but he's still a big boy. And, he has a habit of stepping on my foot. I don't know why these big mastiffs, they like to come over and they just like to step on your foot, so you can't move. And it's kind of, I'm trying to still figure out if it's intentional or if it's just a coincidence and nothing more. But that's what he does. And sometimes he'll just walk fast and he's so big, he can push me right out of the way. And sometimes I get tired of it. All right. I know he don't do it intentionally, but there was a little part of me that wanted to push back. And I'm getting irritated with him constantly pushing me around. All right. And that brings me to the example, the object lesson. Okay. There's even groups of people, all right, that get pushed around. All right. A lot of people get pushed around. And sometimes in the line, people keep pushing ahead of you, and because you got knocked out of line, people keep pushing ahead of you, and you can't get back in. And pretty soon, you just gotta push your way back in. You're gonna have to get us ahead of somebody. You're gonna have to cut in line. And you're gonna take a lot of criticism for it. Might even get beat up. So all I'm saying, look, if you look at it, it's okay to push to get ahead some occasions. I don't know. That might fall under the rubric of, when you're thinking about ethics, the principle of, it's a relative. It's relativism, and it's not two rights don't make a wrong or anything like that. It's the ends are justified by the means, the means are justified by the ends. All right, the means are just okay. Well, we gotta kind of say no. You can't really say the means are justified by the ends. Because what the heck are the ends? You can't say that. You can't accuse a process of being wrong on the basis of a set up fictional situation that you might never encounter, and people are trying to impose that understanding onto another so they can control you, so they can manipulate you. Because if you got a weak mind and you can't understand and you can't differentiate, what the hell is it that's really going on? If you can't look at what is self-evident, that's what I'm saying. This is part of critical thinking. And I come to understand that it actually goes back all the way to Socrates. And Socrates was, he had to drink hemlock or something. He had to die, he had to kill himself. Otherwise they're probably going to push the sword through his heart or whatever. Because he would not submit to something. I don't know what it was. But I come across that. And critical thinking was linked to Socrates. And he was early. He was around like Plato and Socrates and Aristotle and those guys. And each kind of fed off each other. Look, I'm just saying that these people were critical thinkers, okay? And that's the number one point to you, my grandchildren. Think critically. All right? And number two, I'm going to give you another example right here, because it's this Russian guy that came over as a spy. And then when Putin got into office, this guy was, Putin was like, he was subjugate or whatever you call it. He was underneath this guy who's a spy. Like, this guy who's a spy taught Putin, all right? And then Putin says that this guy is a traitor. Okay, so this guy takes asylum in America because he can't go back to Russia or Putin will kill him if he's a traitor. Okay, so you got to think critically, all right? I'm going to show you what it says, but you got to understand. Look, people in war, and like Sun Tzu, he would teach you that you got to think a couple more moves down the road, all right? And it could be part of the plan. See how to go deep undercover. This guy who is taking asylum in America, just think, you know, he might still be an agent of Russia. He's just gone under, he's gone in deep, undercover. And this is typical operation. Okay, this is standard procedure for deep military undercover operations. All right. Now I'm just gonna play you this. Okay.
I thank God today that this failed, because I would have become a very, very dangerous agent for the KGB.
Barsky cooperated with the FBI. In return, he was allowed to stay in the U.S., far away from the new Russia. In Moscow, the KGB men had already picked themselves up, determined to take revenge and to continue their Cold War against the U.S. In 1998, Putin, a former minor agent, was named head of the brand new intelligence service. Those who weren't hardliners, like General Kalugin, were sidelined.
I was chosen to become the chief of the Russian intelligence service. But there was some resistance. The man who took over, Putin, my former subordinate, he called me a traitor. And ever since, I had no choice but to ask for political asylum in the West.
Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin.
All right, well, look, that's I just wanted to use that part for an object lesson and thinking critically, because now this guy, you know, he could be everything he's saying could be true and legit, but that doesn't mean that he's not still working for Russia. See, and that's what look. If you want to go deep into the principles of Sun Tzu, you need to understand that. Okay? And you got to go into the principles of Sun Tzu to understand military operation. You know, I think also, you know, about like, you know, Christian operation, you know, like Jesus, like saying, inasmuch as ye have done it unto the least of these, ye have done it unto me. Jesus Christ. Like, I'm thinking about putting that in my front yard. That's what Jesus says. All right. There's other, you know, you can also look at things like, you know, what does the Declaration of Independence say? And what would Benjamin Franklin say? Or what would George Washington say? Okay. Anyway, this is all food for critical thought. You know? Because in all our interpretations of things, we have to always think about what kind of action we're going to take. You can't be a sideliner. You gotta be a person who's gonna get involved. It's talking about blood and nation. Okay, well, that's a nationalistic kind of thought, but you know whose blood we should be looking at is the blood of the people that made the Declaration of Independence and what that means. You want to be a true American? Then take a look at the Declaration of Independence. And I'm saying to you, my grandchildren, you know, make the right decisions. Think critically. I mean, 'cause you got to get to the point where you're willing to die for something. You know? And you always got to ask yourself, what am I willing to die for? And if you're going to answer that question, you better be thinking critically. All of you, make the right choice. Bye.